guys, welcome to another episode of Around the Table GTA. This episode is going to be similar to a lot of other videos that you may have checked out online, especially with the topic that we're going to be talking about today. But the reason why I'm talking about this is just because I've noticed the effect a little bit more. It's a topic that people have been discussing over the last decade, and it's completely changed the narrative and how people interact online. But there's a lot of different reasons, and I think I'm going to add a little bit more of a unique point of view about how it has become so addictive and what can we do to deal with it, or even can we really deal with it? But the topic that I'm talking about today is social media. It's social media, and it's something that we all use. If you don't know what social media is, you're either very far into the future, you found this after a post-apocalyptic world, and somehow you've recovered the data. I don't know, but as long as you do have an internet connection, you do know what social media is. There's so many different websites, and similar to my older episodes about the old internet and other things like that, it's gotten to a point where the internet is so fast, information travels so fast that something could happen somewhere across the world and you could find out within minutes about what's going on. And one current problem is misinformation. It's been a thing from the earlier days as well, but because of how fast information travels, especially since people want to be first to report it, they will not even check the sources or find out if it's legitimate. And a lot of people have doom posted about the problems that this could cause. But what I want to focus more on is the addictive nature and why it's become an addictive nature. And I know, like I said, people have talked about it before, but I think it's a different viewpoint when we look at how people communicate it, especially when you think of certain age groups, or even if you want to use generations. So sorry, I'm going to put people into a box. So like millennials, Gen Xers, boomers, zoomers, whatever you want to use to describe a specific group of people. But I'm going to focus more on millennials because that's where I fall into. But how information has changed, how everything is sped up, even how we contact each other. Some people laugh at people who still use Facebook, but the people who are using TikTok feel like the people who are using Instagram are grandpas. And then like Twitter or X, I don't know if this is listened to farther in the future, you're going to be like, what the hell is Twitter? Is kind of like a Wild West for regular people. And then there's still quote unquote dark sides of the net that people still use, right? But the main point is that the development of conversation, interaction, and everything as well. Recently, I went to a convention, and some people asked me, oh, you're at a certain age. When are you going to stop going to these things? And I stopped to think about why I go to these things. And it's mainly for interaction with a certain group of friends that I don't really get to see often, right? And to guarantee my interaction with these people, I can go to this event. It's not the only reason why I go to the event, but it's a big factor on why I choose to go to the event as well, right? So it's mixing two passions into one. With the internet, especially where human beings, I think, on a base level want to learn and also have that interaction with other people's, it's a toxic mix of both, where you go on to learn. It's that interaction that people crave. We're in the era of clout chasers. If you don't know what clout is or what a clout chaser is, it's basically somebody who is thriving for attention. And the internet, clips, skits, videos have changed the dynamic of everything, especially in the current age. 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, if you did something wild online and it got a lot of views, there wasn't much that you could do off of it. But currently, you could quit your 9 to 5, you could quit your current job, and if you have the forethought of it going well and having a plan, you can completely change the direction of your life. And it's something that people, at least some people, have noticed and they've strived for, right? Especially with the pandemic, where a lot of people's lives change for the positive and for the negative, but through social media, through the internet, people have gone from dead end jobs to multi-million dollars just doing skits, right? I think the most famous person from the pandemic was, I don't even know what his name is, but it's that one dude who kind of just makes a face and moves his hands, and it's something so simple, but he did that, and he went from apparently like McDonald's to being on like private jets and completely changing his life just for showing how idiotic people were. It's just reactionary videos, right? There's a lot of reactionary videos now, video essays, and the reason why it's popular is because people want to learn, people want that bite-sized information, people want that entertainment, and also people want to be in the loop, right? When you're off the internet for like a month or 2 months, or like for the summer or whatever, because you want to have a cleanse, or you want to deprogram your brain from the serotonin that you get from engaging online. If you miss a meme or a trend or a fad, it just feels wild to be out of date, even though that in this age they get changed over so quickly, right? People will be talking about something 1 week and in 3 weeks it's irrelevant, right? So it's kind of like chasing the dragon. I think that's a good term for that. But at the same time, what I think people need to understand is, like, going back to the whole millennial thing, is that you're doing certain stuff to stay in the loop with people, or others as well, right? I think a lot of people maybe text less. Maybe you're super close friends, you'll text, but through social media, you'll talk to a lot more people that you know and you don't know as well, to have that kind of, I would say, community aspect, right? I've heard in a lot of videos that there's a term called a third space. So it's basically a place where people hang out that's not work or school, right? And that's been minimizing due to the internet. People hang out online. There's online spaces. In my older episodes, if you check out a chat with Kat, she mentioned it as a meet space, right? Because you're physically there and you're meeting with the person, but also, we're bags of meat, right? So there's that, but it's the interaction with certain people. There's certain people that you don't talk to on your phone. You might not even have their information on your phone, but you have them online, right? They might not even have a phone, right? Because there's certain people deal with life differently, so maybe they'll cut off the phone just so that there's limited access, right? But that's what I think has changed, where people went from, oh, I want to be accessible all the time, to being tired of that and going more offline. I was talking to someone, I mentioned it on an older episode, where I went to a stag party and there was someone who does not use any social media. The only way to contact her is through the phone, and she's been doing it for like 4 years and feels like life is a lot better. And I was even checking out another video where, it does mess up with our concentration and everything too. Like, we're expecting a lot of instant gratification, and I've been dealing with things at work or in real life where I'm trying to let people know that life is not the internet, right? The internet can ruin your life, right? It could change your life as well. But when you're dealing with actual people, you have to know that time works differently, right? People are not internet search engines where you're going to get an instant response all the time right away. They're not going to be always available. They're not going to always be even like mentally available there for you. We need to kind of roll it back in expectations of certain things because we're not robots. We're people. We're human beings. Some people work differently than others, right? It's not like the internet where, I guess the internet, you could say that it is a little bit different. It could be fast, it could be slow, depends where you go, right? But having that form of disconnection, at least for a little bit, can help you focus or learn to focus once again and kind of get the gutter out of everything. A lot of people have been distracted, even like myself. I'm doing a second podcast episode in a row, but there was a gap. I was doing a lot of stuff offline, enjoying life, right? But I think also another thing is it's somewhat of a pressure, at least somewhere in the back of our minds, to be able to keep up with everything and focus on stuff. But as we age, as we gain different responsibilities or focus on other things that we feel is better for us, our views change and we mature, whether it's for better or for worse, to just deal with life in a better way. I'm talking to a friend who's taken an internet break, and even in the last little while that they've been offline, they seem a lot happier, right? And that's the thing about the internet. There's a lot of illusion of grandeur, or some people could say smoke and mirrors, where people are not really happy. And you're seeing all these people who are pretending to be happy, and it affects you negatively because you're thinking, why can't I be that happy? Right? They're not even really that happy, right? They could be even worse off than you, but they're doing stuff. Even like when you see YouTubers and even podcasters and stuff like that, like, I have the 5 view gang. Sometimes I have like the 3.5 views gang, right? I've put in a good 3 years in my podcast, and there's not a lot of traction, right? And even when it comes to advertising, which I've learned, a lot of people who get a lot of those likes and stuff, they're constantly spamming and telling people, hey, check out my stuff, hey, check out my stuff, hey, check out my stuff, right? I'm not really that person, right? But there's certain barriers that we have to learn about to understand the true nature of the game, right? Some people seem to blow up at overnight, right? And it's not overnight. It takes a long time, and it's a level of consistency that if that's what you really want, you have to push, right? Ultimately, for me, especially with the podcast, whether it goes crazy viral or not, I think that it's something that I'm doing for me, right? And I'm helping some other people. Shout out to the 5 view gang. And I'm expressing myself and showing what I can and throwing it out there to the world. Whether I can make money off of it in the future, that's all a plus, right? But at the end of the day, I'm doing it for the love of it. And that's a thing that I think people also tend to forget, that, some people are like, oh, why don't you stream? Or why don't you do this? Because blah, 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 right? But a lot of people don't understand the mental anguish of forcing yourself to do something that you like to make money, right? It sucks away that. And that's why certain people who can be a great YouTuber or a streamer move away from this stuff, because they don't want to spoil something that they love because of money, right? And that's the internet in a box. It's a kind of chaotic Pandora's box that we all use for now. We just need to know how to control ourselves on it and not get way too lost in it. It's getting lost in the sauce. It's getting demotivated because of something. It's getting crazy because you're getting in a spiral because of an algorithm, because you liked a few posts that make you just think, wow. Or there's people virtue signaling things that you don't even understand or you don't truly feel, or you're self-diagnosing yourself online because you saw a skit of someone saying that they have this and you're like, oh, maybe I also have this. And then you go into a rabbit hole of that. And then you're identifying as a person that you aren't, mainly because you felt a feeling during that time and you've decided to stay on it. Either way, the internet is a great place, but a horrible place as well. If you didn't have the internet, you wouldn't be even hearing this, right? So at the end of the day, this episode is just about social media in general. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this random take. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next time, but hopefully you guys tune in, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.